The Valtherian Empire ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. Their ships crossed between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their scientists knew everything about the universe. At least that is what they believed. On the bridge of the Valtherian warship Eternal Glory, Admiral Velkath sat in his command chair. His scales were bright blue, showing his high rank. His four eyes watched the main screen with boredom. Another day. Another patrol of the Empire's borders. Nothing ever happened here. A young officer approached him. Her name was Scholar Tinvara. She was the ship's lead scientist. Her scales were green, marking her as a knowledge seeker. She held a data tablet in her three-fingered hands. "Admiral," she said quietly, "we have detected an unknown vessel." Velkath waved one hand. "Another primitive ship, I assume. Probably lost. Send the usual warning. Sir, this ship is different. Its energy signature does not match anything in our database, and it is heading directly toward us." The Admiral sat up straighter. He pressed a button on his chair. The main screen changed to show the unknown ship. It was small, maybe 1/10 the size of his warship. Its shape was smooth and white like a water drop. Strange symbols covered its hull. "Can you read those markings?" Velkath asked. Tinvara touched her tablet. "Yes, sir. The translation system identifies them as a language called Korean. The ship's name is UNS Horizon. The letters UNS mean United Nations ship." "United Nations," the Admiral repeated. "Never heard of them." "Open a communication channel." The screen changed again. A face appeared. It was a strange creature with only 2 eyes, smooth skin, and black hair. The creature wore a blue uniform with gold markings. "I am Captain Daeho Kim of Earth," the creature said. Its voice was calm and friendly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from a planet called Earth. This is our first time traveling beyond our home system." Velkath laughed. "Earth? Never heard of it." "Listen carefully, primitive. You have entered Valtherian space. By law, your ship and all its contents now belong to the Empire. Shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Captain Kim smiled slightly. It was not an angry smile or a scared smile. It was the smile of someone who knows a secret. "I'm afraid we must decline your offer, Admiral. We would prefer to establish diplomatic relations instead. We have much to learn from each other." The bridge crew of the Eternal Glory made sounds of shock. A primitive refusing the Empire? "Impossible!" Velkath's scales turned darker with anger. "You dare refuse?" Tinvara, scan their ship. "I want to know what weapons they have." The scholar worked on her tablet. Her eyes grew wider and wider. She looked at the Admiral. Then she looked at her tablet again. Then back at the Admiral. "Sir, I do not understand these readings, and what do you mean?" "Their power source. It is not a fusion reactor. It is not antimatter. It is not any known technology. The energy output is... Sir, it is impossible. According to our instruments, they are producing unlimited power." Velkath grabbed the tablet from her hands. He stared at the numbers. "Your equipment is broken. Nothing produces unlimited power. It violates the law of energy conservation. Check again." "I have checked 3 times, sir. The readings are correct. What about shields?" "They have no energy shields, sir." "Good," Velkath thought. "Then they are defenseless. Fire a warning shot across their bow. Show them we are serious." The weapons officer pressed a button. A beam of red energy shot from the Eternal Glory. It passed just above the human ship. The beam was hot enough to melt steel in seconds. Captain Kim's face did not change. He still had that small, knowing smile. "I see. You wish to demonstrate your military power. Very well. Allow me to demonstrate ours." "Tinvara, scan for weapons charging," Velkath ordered. "Sir, I detect no weapons charging. In fact, I detect no weapons at all." Before Velkath could respond, Captain Kim spoke again. "Admiral, I am going to fire at your ship now. Do not be alarmed. I will not hurt anyone. Shields to maximum," Velkath shouted. "All weapons target that ship." The human ship did not move. It just floated in space, pointing at the Eternal Glory. Then for a moment, nothing happened. Suddenly, the main weapon array on the Eternal Glory went dark. The screen showed red warnings everywhere. The weapons officer shouted in panic, "Sir, our primary weapons are offline. All of them." "Impossible. What hit us?" Tinvara checked her instruments. Her voice was very quiet. "Nothing hit us, sir. I detected no beam, no missile, no energy discharge. But somehow our weapons have been disabled. All circuits are intact, but they simply do not work anymore." On the screen, Captain Kim nodded politely. "As you can see, we could have destroyed your ship. We chose not to. We really do come in peace, Admiral, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Velkath felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. How did you do that? It is complicated. If you are interested, my science officer would be happy to explain. Dr. Jiwoo Park, please introduce yourself. Another human appeared on the screen. This one had long black hair and wore glasses. She smiled warmly. Hello, I'm Dr. Park. I would be delighted to discuss our technology with your scientists. We have so much to learn from each other. Tinvara stepped forward without thinking. Sir, permission to speak with the human scientist. I must understand how they did this. Velkath wanted to refuse. He wanted to order an attack with every ship in the fleet. But he was not stupid. These humans had technology that should not exist. Technology that violated the sacred theorems. Technology that made the Empire's greatest warship helpless. He needed to report this to the High Council. He needed advice, and maybe, just maybe, he needed to learn. Permission granted, Scholar, but be careful. We do not know if they are telling the truth. About their peaceful intentions, Tinvara nodded and opened a private channel to Dr. Park. The two scientists began to talk. Velkath sat back in his command chair. He looked at the small white ship on his screen. How could such a tiny vessel defeat his warship so easily? How could a species the Empire had never heard of possess impossible technology? For 12,000 years, the Valtherian Empire believed they knew everything. In just a few minutes, a ship called Horizon had proven them wrong. And this, Velkath realized with growing dread, was only the beginning. 3 days later, Scholar Tinvara stood inside the human ship Horizon. She could not believe what she was seeing. The ship was so small on the outside, but inside it felt larger than her own quarters on the Eternal Glory. The walls glowed with soft white light. The air smelled clean and fresh. Everything looked simple, yet advanced. Dr. Jiwoo Park walked beside her, smiling. Behind them came a quiet man named Engineer Young-Soo Cho. He was responsible for the ship's power systems. Here we are, Dr. Park said, stopping before a door. The reactor room. The door opened. Tinvara stepped inside and froze. The reactor was the size of a storage box. Just a simple gray box sitting in the center of the room. No cooling systems. No fuel tanks. No massive equipment. Just a box. This cannot be your main reactor, Tinvara said. This is too small. Where is the real one? Engineer Cho spoke for the first time. His voice was soft. This is the real one. It powers everything. Engines, weapons, life support, all of it. Impossible. A reactor this size could not power a small shuttle, let alone an entire ship. Dr. Park pulled out a tablet. Let me show you the math. The reactor does not burn fuel. It does not split atoms. It extracts energy from empty space. Empty space has no energy. That is basic physics. Actually, empty space is not empty at all. It is filled with quantum fields. Particles appear and disappear constantly at the quantum level. We call them virtual particles. They exist for only a tiny moment, but they carry energy. Tinvara shook her head. Yes, I know about virtual particles. But you cannot extract energy from them. They exist for too short a time. And even if you could, it would violate energy conservation. The sacred theorems prove this is impossible. Dr. Park smiled gently. The sacred theorems are not wrong. They are just incomplete. Watch this. She touched her tablet. Numbers and equations appeared in the air, projected as holograms. Tinvara recognized some of the symbols, but many were completely new. We create a small region of negative energy density here, Dr. Park explained, pointing to one part of the equation. This allows us to borrow energy from the quantum vacuum. But we must pay it back. Look at this term here. We return the energy over time by manipulating particle pairs. The total energy of the universe stays the same. We just borrow it temporarily and use it to power our ship. It is like taking water from a river, using it to turn a wheel, then putting it back downstream. Tinvara studied the equations carefully. Her mind worked through the mathematics. At first she looked for errors. There had to be a mistake. But as she checked each step, she found nothing wrong. The math was perfect. This should not work, she whispered. But it does work, Engineer Cho said. He pressed a button on the reactor. A screen lit up showing power output. The numbers were enormous. This reactor has been running for 5 years without stopping. No fuel, no maintenance, just constant power. Tinvara felt dizzy. If this was real, if the math was correct, then everything she learned at the academy was incomplete. The sacred theorems needed to be rewritten. Why? She asked. Why did we never discover this? The Valtherian Empire has studied physics for 12,000 years. Dr. Park sat down on a bench. May I ask you something? When was the last time your empire questioned the sacred theorems? We do not question them. They are proven truths. That is the problem. On Earth we have a saying, the moment you stop questioning, you stop learning. We constantly test our theories. We look for exceptions. We assume that every answer leads to a new question. But your empire found answers that worked well enough. You conquered hundreds of worlds. You built great ships. You had no reason to keep searching. You became comfortable. Tinvara sat down beside her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Will you share this technology with us? Tinvara finally asked. We want to. But first, your leaders must accept that it is real. Right now, most of them think we are lying or using tricks. Back on the throne of stars, the capital station of the Empire, the High Council met in emergency session. Admiral Velkath stood before them, reporting what he had seen. High Scholar Raxthar sat at the center of the council. His scales were white with age. He had written 3 of the sacred theorems himself. This is nonsense, he declared. Unlimited power is impossible. Energy conservation is absolute. These humans are using hidden fusion reactors and trying to deceive us. With respect, High Scholar, Velkath said carefully. Scholar Tinvara examined their ship thoroughly. She found no hidden reactors. She studied their mathematics. She believes their technology is real. Then Scholar Tinvara is mistaken. Or perhaps she has been bribed. I will send my own team to investigate. Another council member spoke up. Her name was Commander Krelmoth. She led the traditionalist faction. I propose a simpler solution. Destroy the human ship. Destroy all evidence of their so-called technology. Then we can forget this ever happened. That would be unwise, another council member said. This was Scholar Dinvar, leader of the pragmatist faction. If their technology is real, we need it. If it is fake, destroying them proves nothing. Either way, we should study them further. The council argued for hours. Some wanted war. Some wanted trade. Some wanted to pretend humans did not exist. Finally, Raxthar raised his hand for silence. We will allow more scientific exchange. But I want my best students examining every detail of the human ship. When they expose this fraud, we will decide what to do with these liars. The council agreed. But as they left the chamber, groups formed. Traditionalists plotted in one corner. Pragmatists discussed in another. And a few younger scholars, inspired by Tinvara's reports, wondered if maybe the impossible was actually possible. On the horizon, Captain Dae-Ho Kim stood on the bridge with Dr. Park. How did the demonstration go? He asked. Scholar Tinvara understands. She believes us. But convincing one scientist is easy. Convincing an entire empire will be much harder. They will send more scientists to examine us. Yes, and some of them will be looking for any excuse to call us frauds. Captain Kim smiled. Then we will show them something they cannot deny. Something so impossible that they will have no choice but to believe. The probability drive? Yes, if they want proof, we will give them proof. We will show them how we see the future. The demonstration took place in the Grand Council chamber of the Throne of Stars. Every important member of the Valtherian government was present. Hundreds of scientists filled the seats. Guards stood at every door. Dr. Bora Nam stepped onto the central platform. She was a small human woman with short black hair and bright eyes. She carried a silver device the size of a book. Captain Dae-Ho Kim and Dr. Ji-Woo Park stood beside her. Behind them, Commander Hyejin Lee watched the crowd carefully. She was the ship's security chief, a tall woman with sharp eyes. She did not trust this gathering. High Scholar Raxthar spoke from his seat. Dr. Nam, you claim your ship can manipulate probability itself. This violates the fundamental laws of causality. Please explain how you justify such an absurd claim. Dr. Nam smiled politely. Of course, High Scholar. But first, may I ask you a question? What is probability? Probability is our measure of uncertainty. It describes the likelihood of events we cannot predict precisely. Exactly. But what if uncertainty is not a limitation of knowledge? What if it is a fundamental property of reality? At the quantum level, particles exist in multiple states at once. They are not in one place or another. They are in all places simultaneously, until observed. Yes, Basic quantum mechanics. Every student knows this. Then you also know that observation collapses the quantum state. When we measure a particle, we force it to choose one possibility from many. But what if we could influence that choice? What if we could make certain outcomes more probable before the collapse happens? The room became very quiet. Scholar Tinvara, sitting in the front row, leaned forward with excitement. She understood what Dr. Nam was suggesting. Raxthar frowned. That is absurd. Quantum effects only work at microscopic scales. You cannot apply them to large objects like ships. Not with your technology. But we found a way. We create a field that maintains quantum superposition at the macro scale. Then we manipulate the probability amplitudes within that field. In simple terms, we make our ship more likely to be somewhere else. Impossible! Let me demonstrate. Hi, Scholar. May I ask you to hide something for me? Raxthar looked suspicious. What do you mean? Dr. Nam pulled a small crystal from her pocket. It glowed with a soft blue light. This crystal is quantum tagged. It is connected to my scanner here. Please give it to someone you trust. Have them hide it anywhere in this station. I will leave the room. When they return and tell you it is hidden, call me back in. I will find it within 5 minutes. Murmurs filled the chamber. This sounded like a magic trick, not science. Raxthar took the crystal. He handed it to Commander Krelmoth. Take this. Hide it anywhere. Make it difficult. Krelmoth smiled coldly. She took the crystal and left. Dr. Nam and the other humans also left the chamber. 30 minutes passed. The council members talked among themselves. Some placed bets on whether the human would find the crystal. Finally, Krelmoth returned. She nodded to Raxthar. Where did you hide it? He asked quietly. In the waste disposal system, level 47, section 12, inside a sealed container behind a locked panel. It would take hours to search there. Good. Bring in the human. Dr. Nam entered the chamber. She held her silver scanner in both hands. A small screen on its surface showed complex patterns of light. I am ready, she said. Please start timing. A timer appeared on the main screen. It began counting. Dr. Nam closed her eyes. She held the scanner in front of her and began walking. She did not hesitate. She walked directly to the chamber exit, turned left, and headed down a corridor. The council members followed, curious now. Some pulled out their own scanners, trying to detect what Dr. Nam was following. They found nothing. Dr. Nam walked with purpose. She took a lift down to level 47. She walked through narrow maintenance corridors. She stopped before a wall panel marked with the number 12. Here, she said. Krelmoth stepped forward, shocked. How did you know? I did not know. I changed the probability. Let me explain. She held up the scanner. The screen showed a 3-dimensional map with a bright point of light. The crystal exists in quantum superposition. It is connected to this scanner through quantum entanglement. At any moment, the crystal has a probability of being in many locations, very small probabilities, but not zero. My scanner does not detect where the crystal is. Instead, it adjusts the probability field around me. It makes me more likely to move toward locations where the crystal has higher probability. I follow the path of highest likelihood. From your perspective, it looks like I knew where to go, but I was just taking the most probable path through quantum space. The universe guided me. Raxthar shook his head. This is madness. You are saying you see multiple futures and choose the one you want? Not exactly. I do not see the futures. I adjust the probabilities so that certain futures become more likely. It is subtle but powerful. Scholar Tinvara spoke up. Her voice was excited. This is why we could not hit your ship. You were not dodging our weapons. You were making it improbable that our weapons would hit. You changed the odds. Dr. Nam nodded. Yes. And this is how our probability drive works. We do not push our ship through space. We make it more probable that the ship is at our destination and less probable that it is at our origin. The ship appears to move, but really we are just collapsing quantum probabilities in our favor. The timer on the screen showed 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Dr. Nam had promised 5 minutes. She had kept her promise. But Commander Krelmoth was not impressed. She was angry. This is a violation of free will. You are manipulating reality itself. This technology should not exist. It is dangerous. Captain Kim stepped forward. Commander, we do not control reality. We simply work with probabilities that already exist. A coin flip has two possible outcomes. We do not create new outcomes. We just make one outcome more likely. But with this power, you could predict battles before they happen. You could make yourselves impossible to defeat. Yes, we could, but we choose not to use it for conquest. We use it for exploration and defense. Krelmoth turned to face the council. You see, they admit it. They have the power to destroy us whenever they wish. We must act first. We must gather our fleet and eliminate this threat before it is too late. Many council members nodded in agreement. Fear was spreading through the chamber. These humans were too powerful, too strange, too impossible. But Tinvara stood up. High Scholar, permission to speak. Speak, Raxthar said. The humans have shown us technology we thought impossible. They have demonstrated power beyond our understanding. And yet they have not attacked us. They have had many opportunities. They disabled our weapons but hurt no one. They share their knowledge freely. If they wanted to conquer us, we would already be conquered. Instead, they offer friendship. I say we should accept. You are naive, Krelmoth snapped. They are waiting for us to lower our guard. Then they will strike. Commander Heejin Lee, who had been silent until now, spoke quietly. If we wanted to strike, Commander, we would have done so already. In fact, we knew you would hide the crystal in the waste disposal system before you even chose that location. The room went silent. We ran probability calculations before this demonstration. We knew with 97% certainty where you would hide the crystal. We could have told Dr. Nam in advance, but we wanted to prove our technology works in real time, not just with preparation. We also know, Commander Krelmoth, that you are planning to launch an attack on our colony world. You have been gathering ships in secret for 3 weeks. You plan to strike within the next month. Krelmoth's face showed shock, then rage. She had been exposed. You were spying on us. No, we simply calculated the probabilities. Your behavior, your words, your political position, all of it pointed to this outcome. We did not need spies. We just needed math. Captain Kim looked at the council members. We came here in peace. We remain in peace. But we will not be victims. If you attack us, you will lose. Not because we are stronger, but because we will see your attack coming and be ready for it. The choice is yours. War or friendship. We hope you choose wisely. With that, the humans left the chamber. Behind them, the council erupted into argument. The impossible had been proven possible, and now the Empire had to decide what to do about it. 3,000 warships appeared at the edge of the new Sol system. It was the largest battle fleet the Valtherian Empire had ever assembled. Their weapons were charged. Their shields were at maximum power. They came to destroy. Commander Krelmoth stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Iron Judgment. Around her, the fleet spread out like a storm cloud. She smiled with satisfaction. The High Council had forbidden this attack. They wanted more time to study the humans, more time to negotiate. But Krelmoth knew the truth. Delay was death. Every day they waited, the humans grew stronger. Every day, more Valtherians began to doubt the sacred theorems, so she acted without permission. She gathered the traditionalist faction's ships. She told the captains that the Empire was in danger. They believed her. And now they would save the Empire by destroying the human colony. Scan the planet, she ordered. Find their defenses. The scanning officer worked quickly. Commander, I detect orbital defense stations. Also a fleet of 37 ships. 37? Krelmoth laughed. Against 3,000? This will be over quickly. But something felt wrong. The human ships were not hiding. They were not running. They floated in perfect formation between the Valtherian fleet and the planet. Waiting. On the bridge of the human flagship Destiny, Admiral Jae-Sung Ryu watched the approaching fleet with calm eyes. He was an older man with gray hair and a peaceful face. He had been a teacher before becoming an admiral. He preferred books to battles, but he was very good at battles. His tactical officer spoke. Sir, the Valtherian fleet is moving into attack formation. They outnumber us 80 to 1, I know. Open a channel to the planet. Tell Governor Mi-sun. Oh, that she should keep the civilians calm. This will not take long. On New Seoul, Governor O stood in the command center. Outside the windows, she could see the city stretching for miles. 3 million people lived here. Families, children, all depending on her to keep them safe. She received Admiral Ryu's message and nodded. Attention all citizens. Please remain indoors. The defense fleet will handle the situation. Stay calm. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. 37 ships against 3,000. How could they possibly win? In space, Krelmoth opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Human Admiral, this is Commander Krelmoth of the Valtherian Empire. You are vastly outnumbered. Surrender now and evacuate your colony. We will allow your people to leave peacefully. Admiral Ryu appeared on her screen. He looked sad. Commander, we knew you would attack. We have known for 6 weeks. We hoped the High Council would stop you. They did not. Then you know you cannot win. Surrender. Commander, I will give you one chance. Turn your fleet around. Go home. No one needs to die today. Krelmoth's scales turned dark with anger. You dare? All ships open fire. 3,000 warships fired at once. Energy beams, missiles, plasma torpedoes, all of it. Enough firepower to destroy 100 planets. The space between the fleets became a wall of deadly light. The human ships did not move. They did not raise shields. They just sat there, and every single weapon missed. Beams curved around the human ships as if repelled by invisible force. Missiles changed course at the last second and flew past their targets. Torpedoes simply vanished, appearing again thousands of miles away. The scanning officer stared at her instruments in shock. Commander, this is impossible. The probability of every weapon missing it cannot be calculated. The odds are astronomical. Fire again. Keep firing! The fleet fired again. And again. For 5 minutes, 3,000 warships poured everything they had at 37 human vessels. Not a single hit connected. Then Admiral Ryu spoke again. Commander, you have had your chance. Now it is our turn. But we will not kill anyone. Watch carefully. The human ships did not fire visible weapons. They did not launch missiles. They just existed, calm and quiet in space. But across the Valtherian fleet, ships began going dark. One by one, then dozens at a time, warships lost power. Their engines shut down. Their weapons went offline. Their life support remained active, but nothing else worked. On the Iron Judgment, alarms blared. The engineering officer shouted, Commander, our engines are offline, weapons offline, but sensors show no damage. The systems are intact, they just will not activate. What about the other ships? 100 ships disabled so far. No, wait, 200. 300. Commander, the entire fleet is being disabled. Krelmoth felt cold fear spreading through her body. This was not a battle. This was a demonstration. The humans were not even trying hard. Admiral Ryu's face appeared on every screen in every Valtherian ship. Valtherian warriors, please listen.
I am Admiral Jae-sung Ryu. Before I joined the military, I was a philosophy professor.
I taught my students that violence is a failure of imagination. Today you tried to hurt us. We could have destroyed you. Instead, we simply made it impossible for you to fight. Your weapons will not work. Your engines will not start. Not because we damaged them, but because we adjusted the quantum probability field around your fleet. We made it extremely improbable that your systems would activate. The effect will wear off in about 6 hours. You have 2 choices. You can wait here, helpless, while we call the High Council to inform them of this unauthorized attack. Or you can surrender peacefully, and we will restore your systems immediately so you can return home. Commander Krelmoth, the choice is yours. You have 1 hour. The transmission ended. Krelmoth sat in her command chair, surrounded by dark screens and silent alarms. 3,000 ships, the pride of the Empire, defeated without a single shot landing. In her quarters on one of the disabled warships, Scholar Tinvara watched everything through a window. She had secretly joined the fleet, hidden among the crew, hoping to prevent this disaster. She had failed to stop the attack. But maybe she could still save lives. She activated the fleet-wide communication system. Her voice reached every ship. This is Scholar Tinvara. I know many of you. I have taught some of you. You trusted Commander Krelmoth because she promised to protect the Empire, but she was wrong. We cannot defeat the humans with force. I have studied their technology. It is real. They are not lying or using tricks. They have mastered laws of physics we never knew existed. Fighting them is like fighting the ocean with a sword. It is pointless, but there is hope. The humans do not want to conquer us. They want to learn from us and teach us. They want friendship. If we surrender now, we lose nothing but our pride. If we continue to fight, we will lose everything. The sacred theorems are not lies. They are just incomplete. The universe is bigger and stranger than we imagined. We can either accept this truth and grow, or we can deny it and die. Choose growth. Choose life. Choose to learn. Silence followed her words. Then, one by one, ships began broadcasting surrender signals. Not all of them. Some captains were too proud, but most understood. The battle was already over. Krelmoth looked at the surrender signals appearing on her screen. She had lost. Everything she feared had come true. The humans had proven superior. The sacred theorems had failed. But as she sat there in the darkness of her disabled ship, she realized something. The humans could have killed everyone. They had the power, but they chose mercy instead. Maybe Tinvara was right. Maybe there was another way. She opened a channel to Admiral Ryu. Human Admiral, this is Commander Krelmoth. I surrender. My fleet surrenders. Please restore our system so we can return home. Admiral Ryu nodded. He looked relieved, not triumphant. Thank you, Commander. Your systems will be restored immediately. Please return to Valtherian space. Tell your High Council what happened here. Tell them we seek peace, not domination. And tell them that Scholar Tinvara is very wise. They should listen to her. Within minutes, the Valtherian ships came back online. Engines restarted. Weapons systems activated. The humans had kept their promise. The fleet began to withdraw. As they traveled back toward Valtherian space, the crews talked among themselves. The story spread through every ship. The impossible had happened. The Empire had been defeated by a tiny force that refused to kill. On New Sol, Governor Misun-O watched the retreating fleet. Her hands had stopped shaking. Admiral Ryu had been right. It had not taken long. She sent a message to every home in the city. Citizens of New Sol, the danger has passed. The Valtherian fleet has withdrawn. We are safe. You may return to your normal activities. On the Destiny, Admiral Ryu turned to his crew. Well done, everyone. We won without killing anyone. That is the best kind of victory. But he knew the real war was not over. The battle with ships was finished. Now came the harder battle, the battle with ideas. Could the Valtherian Empire accept that they were wrong? Could they learn? Could they change? Only time would tell. 6 months after the Battle of New Sol, the galaxy was different. The throne of stars no longer looked like a military fortress. Now it was surrounded by construction platforms. Engineers from both species worked together, building something new. A joint research station called the Bridge of Possibilities. In the Grand Council chamber, a very different meeting was taking place. Scholar Tinvara now wore the white scales of a high scholar. The council had appointed her to lead the Academy of Sciences. High Scholar Raxthar had retired, admitting that he was too old to change his mind. Captain Dae-Ho Kim and Dr. Ji-Woo Park sat at the council table as honored guests. Beside them sat Admiral Velkath. The proud admiral who once dismissed humans as primitives now spoke in favor of cooperation. Tinvara stood before the gathered council members. Today marks a new beginning for our empire. Today we officially revise the sacred theorems. Not because they were lies, but because they were incomplete. She activated a holographic display. Complex equations floated in the air, mixing Valtherian mathematics with human discoveries. The first theorem once stated that energy cannot be created or destroyed. This remains true, but we now understand that energy can be borrowed from the quantum vacuum, creating what appears to be unlimited power. The third theorem stated that faster-than-light travel requires infinite energy. This remains true for conventional methods, but probability manipulation allows us to bypass this limitation entirely. The universe is more flexible than we believed. Reality responds to our understanding of it. When we stopped questioning, we stopped growing. Dr. Park raised her hand politely. May I add something, High Scholar? Please do. Humans did not invent these principles. We simply discovered them. The potential was always there, waiting. If we had never come here, your people would have eventually found these truths themselves. Maybe in 1,000 years, maybe in 10,000, but you would have found them. We did not bring knowledge from outside. We just helped you see what was already present in the universe. That is what science is. Not creation, but discovery. Admiral Velkath stood up. The chamber grew quiet. Everyone remembered him as the admiral who first encountered the humans with arrogance. 6 months ago, I called the humans primitive. I ordered them to surrender. I believed the Empire was superior in every way. I was wrong. He looked at Captain Kim. Captain, you could have destroyed my ship. You could have humiliated me. Instead, you offered knowledge. You treated us as potential friends, not conquered subjects. This taught me more than any equation. True strength is not the power to destroy. True strength is the wisdom to choose not to. The humans are strong not because of their technology, but because of their values. The council members made sounds of agreement. Many of them had changed their minds over the past months. Fear had turned to curiosity. Hostility had become respect, but not everyone agreed. Commander Krelmoth sat in the back of the chamber. Her political power was gone. The traditionalist faction had collapsed after the failed attack. But she attended every council meeting, silent and bitter. Captain Kim noticed her. He stood and walked to her seat. The entire chamber watched. Commander Krelmoth, may I speak with you? She looked up at him with cold eyes. What do you want, human? I want to thank you. She stared at him, confused. You forced a confrontation. You made the Empire see the truth. If you had not attacked New Sol, this change might have taken years. Many more people might have been hurt. Your attack, though meant as destruction, actually brought peace faster. You think I should feel good about my failure? No, but you should understand that failure is not the end of learning. It is often the beginning. On Earth we have a saying, we learn more from our mistakes than our successes. He extended his hand, a human gesture of peace. You do not have to like us, Commander. But I hope someday you will see that cooperation serves the Empire better than isolation. Krelmoth did not take his hand, but she nodded slightly. It was not friendship, but it was not hostility either. It was the beginning of acceptance. Later that day on the new research station, a different kind of meeting took place. Engineer Young-Soo Cho stood before a prototype reactor. A team of Valtharian engineers stood beside him, including a young scholar named Pixtal. This is amazing, Pixtal said, studying the design. You combined human zero-point extraction with our stellar engineering. The efficiency is 3 times better than either system alone. Cho smiled shyly. Cooperation produces unexpected benefits. Your people understand stellar physics in ways we never considered. Our quantum manipulation lets us access energy sources you could not reach. Together we created something neither could build alone. Will you share the design with everyone? Of course. Knowledge should be free. When one person learns, everyone benefits. Pixtal looked thoughtful. This was so different from the Valtharian way. In the Empire, knowledge meant power. Scientists hoarded their discoveries to gain status. But the humans shared everything freely. Why? Pixtal asked. Why do you not keep secrets? You could charge us for your technology. You could make yourselves wealthy. Because the goal is not wealth. The goal is understanding. Every mind that studies a problem increases the chance of solving it. If we kept secrets, we would only slow progress for everyone, including ourselves. Besides, Earth learned this lesson the hard way. For centuries, our nations kept scientific secrets from each other. This caused wars and suffering. When we finally started sharing knowledge freely, our progress accelerated incredibly fast. In just 200 years, we went from basic computers to quantum probability manipulation. On the observation deck of the research station, Tinvara and Dr. Park stood looking at the stars. Do you know what amazes me most about your people? Tinvara asked. What? Not your technology. Your attitude. You see the universe is full of questions, not answers. You assume you are wrong until proven right. This is the opposite of how we were taught. The Valtharian Academy taught us that the greatest scientists were those who found final answers. You teach that the greatest scientists are those who ask better questions. Dr. Park smiled. On Earth, we say that science is not about being right. It is about being less wrong over time. Every answer is temporary. Every theory is incomplete. The moment we think we know everything, we stop being scientists. That sounds exhausting, to never be certain of anything. It can be. But it is also exciting. There is always something new to discover, always another question to ask. The universe is infinite, and so is learning. Tinvara turned to face her new friend. Dr. Park, I have a question. What should we discover next? Park laughed. Now you are thinking like a scientist. I do not know what we will discover next. That is what makes it an adventure. A week later, the formal alliance ceremony took place. Humans and Valtherians gathered in the largest hall on the throne of stars. Thousands attended in person. Billions watched through broadcasts. Captain Kim and High Scholar Tinvara stood together on the central platform. Between them floated a holographic document written in both languages. Tinvara read first. We, the Valtherian Empire, acknowledge that the universe is larger than our understanding. We commit to the pursuit of knowledge through questioning, testing, and cooperation. We recognize that no theory is final, and all understanding is subject to revision. Captain Kim continued. We, the United Nations of Earth, commit to sharing knowledge freely and learning from all civilizations we encounter. We recognize that wisdom comes in many forms and that cooperation produces better results than competition or conquest. Together, they said, we form the coalition of infinite possibilities. May it guide us toward greater understanding for the benefit of all species. The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans and Valtherians celebrating together. The impossible had become real. That evening, a small gathering took place in a quiet room. Captain Kim, Dr. Park, Engineer Cho, Admiral Velkath, Scholar Tinvara, and even Commander Krelmoth sat together. Admiral Velkath raised a glass. A toast, two being wrong. The others looked confused. I was wrong about humans, wrong about technology, wrong about the sacred theorems, and being wrong taught me more than 12,000 years of being right, so I celebrate my mistakes because they led to growth. Captain Kim raised his glass as well, to being wrong. May we all be wrong often and learn each time. They drank together, laughing at the strange toast. Even Krelmoth allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps being wrong is not the worst thing, she admitted. Perhaps it is necessary. Dr. Park looked around the table at the faces from two different worlds, two different philosophies, now united in common purpose. You know what I think? She said. I think humans needed the Valtherian Empire as much as you needed us. You taught us about scale, about building civilizations that last. We taught you about flexibility and constant questioning. Together we are stronger. Tinvara nodded. The Coalition of Infinite Possibilities. It is a good name. Because the real discovery was not the technology. It was the realization that possibilities are truly infinite, if we have the courage to explore them. Outside the window, stars glittered in the darkness. Thousands of worlds waited to be discovered. Countless mysteries remained unsolved. The universe was full of questions.